You're watching LMCC, your community TV.
Hello and welcome to Talking Points. I'm Kay Erickson with the League of Women Voters of South Tonka, and today we're talking about transit and the Southwest Light Rail Line. We'll start by looking at overall transportation planning in the metro area and how light rail fits into the transit system. Then in the second segment of the program, we'll focus specifically on the Southwest Light Rail Line. And that's the line that's going to run from Eden Prairie into Minneapolis, and it's actually the one that's closest to our South Lake area. Because the Metropolitan Council is the agency responsible for overall transportation planning, Jennifer Munt, who represents District 3 on the council, is here to discuss the council's plans for transportation in the 7-county metro area. Jennifer has served on the council since 2011 and lives in Minnetonka. Her district includes the 6 cities in our South Lake area, as well as 11 other area cities. Thank you for being here, Jennifer. Let's start with a general question, an overview of the Met Council, why the council was established, what it does, its impact on the metro area, just so folks have an understanding of the role of the council in general.
Okay, the Metropolitan Council is the regional government for our 7-county Twin Cities metropolitan area. We were created by the legislature in 1967 to address water pollution and rapid growth. Those were 2 issues that no single city could tackle on its own. Today we do buses, flushes, parks, and housing, and we have the authority to plan for both efficient and organized growth throughout the region. We have about 4,200 employees and an annual operating budget of nearly $1 billion.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Yes.
So we're talking today about transportation in the metro area. Can you tell us how the Metropolitan Council gets involved in that?
Well, we plan multimodal transportation to meet the mobility needs of the region. So what we know is that by the year 2040, we will have 830,000 new residents and 550,000 new jobs. So planning for how those folks are going to get around is key to our quality of life. So we have a long-term plan for how we're going to move people quickly, safely, and affordably, whether that's by bus or by train, by foot or by bike. And we work in partnership with the State Department of Transportation, with employers and communities throughout the region on how we're going to do that.
Oh, that's a lot of responsibility. So how does, now we're talking, we've got light rail lines already established, so how does light rail fit into the overall transit planning? You have plans to incorporate light rail in addition to plans to increase road capacity, and bikes and trails, I think, are part of that too.
Absolutely, Kay. One mode is not our solution. So light rail is part of a broader plan for mobility in the region. So every time we take a look at roads and bridges, we maximize that construction by adding bus shoulder lanes, express lanes so that high occupancy vehicles can move out of traffic congestion and get onto a quick lane. You see those along 394 where if you've got 2 people in your car, you can pull out of traffic and go quickly into downtown. So we're looking at how light rail can complement other modes. We also, when we build a light rail station, we enhance both the bicycle and pedestrian connections because it's typical that somebody who lives within 6 blocks of a light rail will be walking or bicycling to get there. And we also look at how we can add park rides near our stations. So people who live further than a half mile can drive to the station, park their car, and hop on the train.
So we already have some existing lines. Can you talk about where the existing lines are already in place and already going?
We have
parts of the city?
We have two light rail lines, and the ridership has exceeded anyone's expectations. So first, the Green Line. The Green Line connects downtown Minneapolis with downtown St. Paul, and today there are 40,000 people riding every day.
Wow.
We also have the Blue Line, which is the Hiawatha Line. That connects downtown Minneapolis with the airport and the Mall of America, and that line enjoys 30,000 rides every day. Now in the future, the plan is to extend the Green Line out to the western suburbs and to extend the Blue Line out to the northern suburbs all the way to Brooklyn Center. So we're expanding our transit system the same way that we built out our highway system. The more we build out, the more people who can ride because one line connects to another.
Can you talk about how many cars LRT takes off the road? Because I assume that's one of the goals, is to reduce the traffic congestion to some extent. Although with all the new people moving in, it seems like we're going to need it anyway.
Absolutely. So light rail helps with traffic congestion. Every 3-car train removes 600 automobiles from traffic. Now, if you take a look at how congestion has increased in the metro area, we had 1 million daily commuters in the year 2000. Today we have 1.4 million. So that's a 40% increase in commuters. And our congestion has remained steady, and that's because we've done a really good job with transit.
Okay. So what are some of the pros and cons of light rail versus just expanding our roadways? I think there must be something, I can think of a couple other things besides just taking cars off the road.
Yeah, it's really not a question of roads versus rail. It's about the need for both. In a highly developed area like our metropolitan area, we know that we can't pave our way out of traffic congestion. If we did, we'd have to bulldoze entire neighborhoods and business corridors. And that comes with a really high cost to humans, to our environment, and to our pocketbooks. So what we know is that we need to do both roads and rail, and we have to have the right mode in the right place. So it's not one versus the other, it's the need to do both and to be smart about where you put the modes.
So the economics of LRT compared to roads and highways, does it cost more initially and less to run, or vice versa? How do the economics compare?
Well, all transportation is expensive. When I ask people how much they think a freeway interchange will cost, most people guess about $25,000. The truth is, if you look at the interchange between 494 and 35W, just rebuilding that existing cloverleaf would cost $255 million. Now you compare that to the future Southwest light rail line, which will cost $2 billion. But the upkeep for light rail is less than the ongoing upkeep for our roads. Our roads have got the harsh winters, the snow and the ice, and so maintaining our roads costs a lot more than maintaining a light rail line. And when I think about a light rail line, it's a really big deal because once you open a line, trains will run on that line every 15 minutes for the rest of my natural-born life. So we plan where the rail is going to be in places where we know that there will be ridership that justifies the cost.
Well, and you can already see development happening along planned lines. So is that partly because everybody knows where those lines are going to be, and so they can plan apartments and businesses and shops around those particular areas that actually probably draw riders to that area and increase the viability of some of the cities around that? Is that part of the thinking about this?
That's absolutely right. Because light rail has fixed tracks, people know it's not going to move the way a bus route could move. And so it becomes a magnet for both housing and commercial development. And if you look at our existing light rail lines today, we've attracted $6.8 billion of development. And the Southwest Corridor is just in the planning phases, and development is already happening. I went to a groundbreaking for the Moline in Hopkins, which is some fantastic housing where people will be able to walk out the front door of their apartments and hop on the train.
It's wonderful. So what do you think our transit system is going to look like in the next 5, 10, or 20 years? What is the Met Council envisioning for the future here?
Well, in the next 5 years, we will have 4 light rail lines with the addition of the Southwest line and the Bottineau line. The Bottineau line will connect downtown Minneapolis with Brooklyn Center.
Okay.
In the next 10 years, if funding permits, we will double our transit system, and we will have 11 rapid bus lines similar to the A line, which currently connects downtown St. Paul with Roseville along Snelling Avenue. So the next 20 years, that's a long ways out. But driverless vehicles are actually on the horizon. In fact, MnDOT will be piloting driverless buses during the Super Bowl, which is in the Twin Cities in 2018.
Well, it's time for a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Southwest Light Rail line, which is the one that's set to run from a station in Eden Prairie into downtown Minneapolis, where it will connect with the existing Green Line. Is that okay? We'll be back after this short break.
LMCC is now on Facebook. Be sure to like or friend us so you can keep up with all the happenings at LMCC or to watch one of our latest videos.
Welcome back to Talking Points. I'm Kay Erickson with the League of Women Voters of South Tonka. And in this segment of the program, we're going to be focusing specifically on the Southwest Light Rail Line, which will connect Eden Prairie and the southwest suburbs to Minneapolis. So Jennifer, now that we've talked about the Met Council in general and overall transportation plans, let's focus specifically on the Southwest line and what that is going to add to the system.
The Southwest line is going to be my light rail line. I am going to be riding this train. I'm fortunate to live in Minnetonka, where I am 6 blocks from a station. So the line will be 14.5 miles long, and it will connect downtown Minneapolis to St. Louis Park, Hopkins, Minnetonka, and Eden Prairie. And folks who live in Edina will be very close to stations, so they will benefit from the line as well. We are expecting to have 34,000 daily commuters by the year 2040. Wow. What we know is that the West Metro is the place where people are choosing to live and work. There's a huge amount of residential and job growth in this area, so the Southwest Light Rail Line is going to help us get where we need to go. That's really important because we know that 80% of our riders are either going to work or going to school. And this is a line that will connect them to both of those destinations. So a little bit about the project. We hope to begin construction in 2018, and people will be able to hop on and ride in the year 2022. So construction takes about 4 years to complete. We're going to be building 15 stations, and those stations will include platforms that are well lit with telephones and park and rides nearby so that people can drive to their station. They will be heated and safe. I was just going to ask about heat. There in Minnesota, you know that you need heat, and so our stations will be heated. When people press an on-demand button. Our stations will be extremely safe. They will be designed in such a way that people will have eyes on the station, and that means that you're going to be safe there. Our 15 stations will be complemented by a 16th station. So when we build light rail, we will add footings so that Eden Prairie can add the 16th station at Town Center.
Okay.
That's a really exciting opportunity for Eden Prairie because that station is near Eden Prairie Center, and it will provide a great opportunity for live-work opportunities so that the city can have its downtown. So those stations will attract both residential and housing development, and we're working in partnership with all 5 cities along the line to make sure that the development is what is lacking in their community. Every community has a different vision of what they want their station area to be. Some want housing, some want job growth, but all of them want light rail because it is a magnet for building strong communities. Light rail isn't just about connecting points A and B. It's about an opportunity to rethink how you want to design your community. Some communities lack a grocery store, and they want to attract that to their station area. It's not one size fits all. It's something where every community has an opportunity to rethink how they build strong neighborhoods around light rail stations. When I first took a ride along the corridor, I was shocked by the number of wetlands along this 14.5 mile stretch. And what that means is that construction is going to be really complex.
Yes.
So if you take a look at 4 years of construction, that includes 2 light rail tunnels. One of them will go under the Crosstown Highway 62, right at the Minnetonka Eden Prairie border. We have another tunnel that will go for about 2,200 feet along the Kenilworth Trail in the Kenwood neighborhood in Minneapolis. Both of those tunnels are cut and cover tunnels, which are much easier to construct when you just dig it out and cover it later, as opposed to boring a tunnel underground. Much less risk, much less risk of cost or schedule delays when it's a cut and cover tunnel.
Okay.
We will also have 6 pedestrian tunnels, which will ensure that people walking to their stations can get there safely without becoming a hood ornament on somebody's car. We've also got 29 bridges that we will be building over those wetlands.
Bridges that don't exist now.
Exactly. Brand new bridges, 29 of them. So that is really complex construction. And we'll also have 117 retaining walls along the corridor. So difficult construction, and our promise is to make sure that all the residents who live nearby are prepared for the construction and that they know exactly what to anticipate. So before heavy construction occurs, if you have a home or a business nearby, you will know 30 days in advance about what that construction's going to do and how it might temporarily disrupt your life. But what I tell people is it is short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of construction.
Yes, and one of the benefits of this is it will create 7,500 jobs with a payroll of $350 million. And what I'm really excited about is that the Department of Human Rights has said that heavy construction projects in Minnesota will have a workforce that's 20% women and 32% people of color. So what we're looking at here are living wage jobs that employ women and people of color for a solid 4 years of construction.
Wow. So speaking of budgets, who's paying for this? And is it federal, state? Is it And how much money has been spent so far?
So the total Southwest Light Rail project will cost $1.858 billion. And half of that will be paid by the federal government. And the matching portion will come primarily from Hennepin County, and $30 million from the state, and about $100 million in land transfers and other contributions from local governments.
Okay, so it's really everybody involved in the whole project.
Absolutely. And you know what's exciting about this project is that the 5 communities in Hennepin County where the line travels are huge supporters of making this happen. This plan has been in the making for 10 years, and people have given countless hours of time and energy to make that happen. So far, we've spent $218 million on the project, and there are some people who say, let's not do this. I think it would be irresponsible for us to throw away $218 million that we've already spent on a really good project, and to say that we don't want $1 billion of federal matching funds. When people here talk about that, our peer cities say, fine, if you don't want that billion, we will take it. We are in extremely competitive relationship with other projects around the country. Our project is highly ranked, and we're encouraged that Congress is funding light rail projects despite President Trump's edict that we won't spend any more money on transit. Projects both in California and in Maryland have been funded during the Trump administration, and we are encouraged that we will get federal grant for this project in the spring of 2018.
2018, okay. So that's what we're looking for, is funding in 2018.
That's right.
Wow. Anything else you'd like to add about the project?
Well, I think this is really an exciting project. It's an exciting project that has tremendous amount of support from the local governments along the line, from people who hope to ride it in 2022. What we know is that younger people are attracted to metropolitan areas where there's good transit. It's not about taking somebody's car away. It's about giving them a really attractive option so that they can leave the car in the garage, so that they can walk and they can bike and they can use transit. That's what young families are looking for, and that's what communities like mine, Minnetonka, know they need. The median age in Minnetonka right now is 54. And if our community wants to attract younger families, we need to have transit, because people don't want to come to an area where they spend more time in traffic congestion than they do with their families. We also know that we will have twice as many seniors by the year 2040 as we have today. And better transit means independence when you can't see at night. My mom, for example, she can get to the Guthrie in daylight, but she can't get home. She lives near the Blue Line, and she just hops on the train, and she's got independence. She can get to the Guthrie, and she can get back without any worries about night blindness. This is really good for young people. It's really good for older people. And it's really good for our region, whether you use transit or whether you drive.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. It's been really helpful to have some basic information, to have the facts about what this line will do, why it's being built, why it's so important for our area. So I really appreciate your being here to explain that.
Thank you, Kay. I appreciate the League of Women Voters, and I appreciate all that you do to educate our viewers.
Thank you. If you'd like to find out more about transit and the Metropolitan Council, you can go to the Council's website, metrocouncil.org. The League of Women Voters encourages everyone to get involved, to get educated, and to vote. We educate ourselves and the public about current issues and about how government works. We reach positions and lobby at the local, state, and national levels. We hold candidates meetings, register voters, and provide information on voting. League is nonpartisan, so we don't support or oppose political parties or candidates. Our South Tonka League serves the cities of Deep Haven, Excelsior, and Greenwood, Tonka Bay, Shorewood, and Woodland. We welcome both men and women as members, and we invite you to join us. You can find out more about what we do at our website, lwvsouthtonka.org. I'd like to thank Jennifer Munt for being here today. I'd like to thank the Lake Minnetonka Communications Commission for the opportunity to present this program, and I'd like to thank you for watching.